So crypto universe, I'm back with another video. We're going to jump right into some updates again. And so the market is somewhat trending down today. There was a slight pullback. The market as a whole is down 1.40%. The market cap's $3.34 trillion. Bitcoin is continuing to hover around that 103,000 mark. Most coins in the top 100 are in the red right now over the past 24 hours. One coin that I still wanted to highlight though is XRP, even though XRP is down 1% right now as well. XRP, in the last 24 hours, XRP had reached over $150 billion in market cap. Right now, it's a little bit under that at 149. But there was a point in the past 24 hours where it was at 150 billion. I'm posting a screenshot here from Bank XRP, who is a popular person who follows XRP and been posting about it for the past several years. I think it's inevitable at this point that XRP will flip Tether for that number 3 spot. The only question is, how long will it take? Will it be within the next 2 weeks or 2 months or 8 months, or we'll see how it goes, but I think that is coming soon. Speaking of XRP, I had another XRP related story I wanted to get into here, and this is from CoinMarketCap. CoinMarketCap is reporting that currently XRP has a daily trading volume of $1.2 billion, and this is in South Korea. This is happening, and this is a higher daily trading volume than what Bitcoin and Ethereum are, what they're producing in South Korea. Right now, XRP is outpacing Bitcoin and Ethereum within the South Korea region when it comes to daily volume, which, needless to say, is a big deal. Now, will that become the case in the rest of the world, the rest of the planets? That's to be determined, but we're not here to worry about that. Either way, as somebody who has always been an investor within XRP, somebody who has had high hopes for what it could be, I was never necessarily somebody who was on the train of thinking that it was going to go all the way up to $589, but I definitely thought when it was at its lows of like 11 cents during like 2019, 2020, I definitely felt it was severely undervalued. So it's exciting to see that it's been able to stay afloat and still trend back closer and closer to its all-time high. When will it get to its all-time high? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below if you think it will get there soon. But speaking of XRP again, I wanted to just quickly talk about, actually, we're going to change the subject here. I wanted to talk about Coinbase instead. This is still tied to XRP, but it's mostly about Coinbase. So Coinbase has announced, and this broke from Cointelegraph, Coinbase is launching CBXRP, CBADA, CB Litecoin, and also CB Doge. They're launching their wrap tokens on the Base platform, and Cointelegraph writes here, the crypto exchange announced that these assets are coming soon, but not yet available, with an official launch date to be announced later. Now, in case you don't know, Base is a Ethereum layer 2 platform that Coinbase uses frequently. And in case you don't know what a wrap token is, right, because I'm sure there's still many people who aren't familiar enough, we're gonna go to a quick explanation from the Motley Fool. I feel like they give a pretty straightforward explanation to where anybody can just grasp it really quickly. So we're gonna read it here. By placing cryptocurrency in a special kind of digital vault, one can create what is called a wrapped token, the value of which depends on the stored Bitcoin, but the wrapped asset runs on a separate blockchain. Now, you could replace the word Bitcoin in that sentence with any cryptocurrency. Like, they gave an explanation based on Bitcoin specifically, but you can have wrapped tokens for essentially any cryptocurrency. But of course, Bitcoin was the first example used because it's the biggest example, of course. I'm going to read a little bit more of this explanation real quick. For example, consider wrapped BTC and Bitcoin BEP2. One can swap wrapped Bitcoin or BTCB for Bitcoin directly on most wallets. And both are Bitcoins, but they don't operate on the Bitcoin blockchain. Instead, they transact on the Ethereum and Binance chain. So ETH is obviously Ethereum. When you hear BEP2, or BEP20. This is Binance's blockchain. And of course, Binance is the largest cryptocurrency exchange on the planet by far. And I'm just going to read a little bit more from this. Readers might be wondering, what's the point of going through all this? Well, creating a wrap token enables users to use their Bitcoin in self-executing programmable agreements, aka smart contracts, and earn fixed income. So basically, the technology that allows you to create a wrap token, they did it because they wanted to use Bitcoin in smart contracts. They wanted to give it smart contract capabilities. And long story short, like I said, you could create a wrap token of any crypto. And for Coinbase to announce that they're creating wrap tokens for these major coins, it's absolutely going to bring in a lot of liquidity as well as a lot of utility. And so I'm going to get into the last story here because I wanted to make this a quick video. This is a story from Decrypt, and it's actually about JP Morgan. Yes, that JP Morgan. The story reads, JP Morgan settles first tokenized treasury transaction on public blockchain using Chainlink and Ondo Finance. JP Morgan and Chase completed its first transaction on a public blockchain using Ondo Finance. JP Morgan Chase settled its first transaction on the blockchain this week, on the public blockchain. The transaction comes roughly 6 years after the financial titan debuted its decentralized platform, JPM Coin. I don't know if you guys remember that, but that was, they've been exploring this possibility for a while now, so this was inevitable. It marks JP Morgan's deepening push into blockchain technology as institutional investors embrace tokenized real-world assets. JP Morgan Chase has completed its first transaction on a public blockchain, a sign of the financial powerhouse's deepening involvement in the Web3 world. The global bank on Wednesday settled a transaction involving tokenized U.S. treasuries on Ondo Finance using Chainlink to connect between private and public networks, according to a joint statement from the companies. The experiment marks the latest development in JP Morgan's decentralized finance project called, I'm gonna butcher this name, but I believe it's pronounced Kinexus. I'm assuming it's Kinexus, a platform that aims to bridge the gap between traditional finance and DeFi. And now I'm gonna go through a quick quote here. The debut transaction isn't just a major milestone, it's a statement about the future of finance. Ondo Finance CEO Nathan Allman said Thursday in a statement shared with Decrypt. JP Morgan and Chainlink didn't immediately respond to Decrypt's request for comment. In a comment to Decrypt, Colin Cunningham, head of tokenization at Chainlink, noted that JP Morgan's transactions marked the first time a major global bank connected its core payment systems to a public blockchain. So just to wrap things up here, guys, like, the future is inevitable, and this taking over is also inevitable. For so many years, so many of these same type of corporations and same type of, I guess you could call them bigwigs or whatever you want to call them, these same type of people who are in control of media, they spent so many years trying to convince the general public, trying to convince the normies that it's all one big scam and it's going to be a fad that's here today, going tomorrow. But yet, behind the scenes, they are going out of their way to try to get in as early as possible and to try to get control of it as early as possible.